everybody, this is Dr. Ray Infanti of Spine and Sport Annapolis. I'm here with Lance Nabel, who teaches Yin Yoga in the office here on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. The reason why I wanted to put these videos together is because when I talk to patients about blocks and I talk to them about bolsters and blankets and things like that and different types of props, I don't think people really get an understanding as to what I'm talking about. And I know personally in the past when I've gone to yoga, I've been pretty hesitant and intimidated just because of the fact that I'm so inflexible. And I think Yin Yoga really gives people the opportunity to get into a nice, gentle stretch and hold that stretch for a long period of time. So what we wanted to do today is we wanted to show people some of the stretches or some of the poses that we do. So one of the things that I see with our patients is a lot of tightness, especially within the shoulders, and like some of the things that might be contributing to that could be
things like sitting in long commutes, car rides where we're constantly in front of the wheel, on our computers. I mean, it's pandemic time, so we've been at our desk a lot more than we used to be. Either that or on our devices. I'm constantly checking my phone, and I'll find myself just slumping by the end of the day. Who am I? I've morphed. So.
Right.
Let's talk about opening that up.
Yeah, so what would be a good stretch to start with?
Well, I'd like to demonstrate a simple shoulder stretch. All you need is a mat, or actually the floor would work just fine. So a nice large surface where you can just spread out on your belly. Are you ready to get started?
Absolutely.
All right, let's have your head up there, toes down below, lying on your belly. And if you can place your fingers, just like you have sandwiched over the top, and you end up with your thumbs together, and that's a nice place for your nose as you're on your face. And what you're going to do is extend out your left arm so that it extends out to a T. Perfect. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And then inhale, and pressing through the right palm, roll over onto your left side. That's it. Now the head can rest. That's right. The only thing that's doing work really is this arm that is at a nice 90-degree angle. It's sort of a kickstand or a prop to hold him up. And the hips are, if possible, stacked one on top of the other. And it doesn't matter if the bottom leg is bent or straight. It just kind of depends on where you are in flexibility. And we can show some other alternative options as we go through this pose. How does that feel so far?
Very good.
Okay. And so at this point, you're just breathing. You're thinking about relaxing the back of your neck, relaxing your face. In this pose, you're actually helping to open up this left shoulder so that this part of the collarbones and the chest area is opening, allowing more breath to come in with practice. And I would encourage you to stay in this pose, start with 1 minute, and then maybe work yourself up to 2 or 3. And then roll back down slowly to belly. Bringing your elbows wide, hands one over top of each other. And just take a pause and notice how the body feels, one side to the other, because we've only done one side. And then when you're ready, I would go to the other. Get this out of the way. So extending the right arm out, and then rolling onto your right side gently. As far as you go, no straining. Relax the head onto the mat. That's it. Let's bring this hand back a little bit so that this creates a nice, it's just your kickstand. It's just propping you up so that you can hang there for just a little bit. Again, the hips are stacked one over the other. You can relax the feet. Nothing's doing any work. Except maybe your mind as you try to believe you're in this pose right now. And so just breathe. Believe it or not, we can direct our breath into places in the body, and it can almost feel like there's an expansion happening. And while the breath isn't literally going into that area, it is a way of helping the body to relax and trigger that parasympathetic system to come in and not panic. We are in a new pose, in a new place for our shoulder, but this is all good. And then again, see if you can work yourself up to a minute or 2. And then roll back down to the belly. Hands come up. Yep. And chillax.
So that pose that we just did was very basic, just because of my lack of flexibility. But now what we're going to do is I'm going to have Lancy show you a couple of different progressions of that for people that are a little bit more flexible, or as they get through this and they become a little bit more flexible.
Awesome. And I'm hoping that for you too. To the side, hands are stacked, fingers on top of each other, nose placed in the little pocket, and breathe. So as you're ready, you're going to extend the left arm out. Even that just feels good to begin. The right arm is a kickstand, and we roll over onto our left side. Make any adjustments that you need. Kind of settle in. The hips are stacked, one on top of the other. And then to experiment, option 2 is to bring the top knee up towards the ceiling. And you're going to feel additional opening in the front of the body. And option 3 would be to take that kickstand arm away, bring it up and behind you to just rest. Collarbones are smiling forward. And you can breathe. Sensation should be about a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. So listen to your body and back off if anything is too much. And then to come out, you just roll the tape back. So the arm comes up, top leg comes back, down straight, and you roll forward. Taking time to notice the difference. Give it up to a minute. Settle in. For the other side, so you can see it on the other, from the front. The right arm goes out. We roll over to the side. Left hand is my kickstand. The neck is relaxed. This, you should have some sensation, but no pain. No pain here. Option to bring the top knee up and behind the bottom leg. And then option 2 is to raise the top arm and bring it back behind. Again, notice if any tension develops on the face, in the neck, in the jaw. And then unwinding, bringing the arm up, becoming my kickstand again, top leg straight and rolling back to the belly.
Okay, so the next pose that we're going to do today is supportive child's pose. So Lancy, tell me a little bit about the benefits of that.
So this is a simple pose that everyone can do. And this is helpful for opening up and relaxing the low back. It's going to calm our breath because we're supported, and you'll see that in a minute. And that helps us activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which allows for better circulation. This contributes to better sleep and better recovery and healing. So it's just an overall good thing for everyone to do.
Okay, well, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
So how do you want me?
Hands and knees to start with your head facing Yep, that direction.
Mhm.
Okay, and if you have sensitive knees, we can also put a blanket under the knees if that feels good. If you feel like you need that extra support. So taking a bolster, or this could also just be, a large cushion, preferably like a big pillow that you have if you don't have a bolster, and setting it just a little bit between the knees. So your knees are slightly apart, and then you just take a deep breath in, think about getting tall and long, and then as you exhale, you simply take your hands and begin to walk yourself down the mat, and then place yourself on the bolster. And you do want your hips all the way down on your heels. So I saw you creep up, so you can adjust this bolster by bringing it down further if you need to. Yes, beautiful. Your neck is resting, your cheek is on the side of the bolster, and about halfway through, you can switch your gaze to the other side. Now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to offer Ray a little extra adjustment, and this hopefully will feel very good as we bring relaxation to the low back. So tell me if this is okay, or if I can go a little further. Yeah. So if you've got a friend at home who can come and just lean on the hip bones right here, this can feel really good. How's that feel, Ray?
Very good.
Yeah, as simple as that. All right. And then about halfway through, you can turn your cheek to the other side. And that way, this kind of gives a nice stretch to the neck. If this is sensitive to you, then you can always just put the forehead onto the bolster if that feels better.
So like this.
Mm-hmm. But again, listen to your own body and do what feels good for you. And feel free to stay here for 2 to 3 minutes, 5 minutes, even 7 minutes. It's amazing in our busy world how we often don't take time to just stop. This is even something you could just do in the living room as soon as you get home. It feels so good after driving, after being at your computer all day. And then to get out of it, you simply feel your hands against the mat and press through your palms as you raise yourself back up. Slowly. And then I like to encourage you to just pause at the top, close your eyes, and feel the body as it begins to essentially recover from being down on the ground. It's this wonderful uplift of energy. Well done. Now, using the bolster is very accessible, but sometimes you may not feel like using the bolster, especially if you've been doing this a while and you want a deeper stretch to the low back. So let me demonstrate that to you now. So again, coming to hands and knees, all fours. And the knees can be slightly apart with the toes together. Again, you just sink back on your heels. And this time, simply lower all the way down to the ground with the forehead on the mat. Notice that my elbows are just splayed out so that my shoulders are relaxed. A couple other arm options would be to take the arms back behind you, and perhaps the palms are face up. Some may even have a practice or prefer to grab the heels. And in this, you're breathing deeply into the low belly. Being in a more constricted position also allows you to massage your digestive system. And taking deep breaths in and out through the belly. And then when you're ready to come out, simply bring your hands forward and press back up to seated.
So the next pose that we're going to be trying is what's called the spinal twist. What are the benefits of doing something like that?
So it's interesting that after a long day at work or at the keyboard, we kind of begin to sink and feel even shorter. And so the spinal twist helps us to create better mobility throughout the spine. And I really feel that it also opens up our side body and increases our breath and just how much we're enjoying the day from being all crumpled up. So let's get started.
Okay, where do you want me?
Let's have your feet down here, lying on your back.
Knees bent?
Knees are feet flat, knees are bent. Yep, you got it. And there's a couple different ways to do a spinal twist, but for this simple version, just draw the knees into the chest one at a time. Yeah, and then the other one. And then allow them to fall over to the right. You got it. And then your left arm is going to go out straight. Perfect. And I notice a few gaps, so if you have pillows or blankets, you can prop these up so that there's more comfort. Actually, you've got that one already down. So there's more comfort because, again, in Yin, we want time to be on our side so that we can allow the body to go from the stress mode of, oh my gosh, I'm in a new position, to then relax. And as your breath stimulates the parasympathetic system, now you will begin to open up and begin to move that tight fascia that's keeping us bound. So this shoulder, the left shoulder, is actually flat on the floor. So both shoulders are flat on the floor. If you feel that one shoulder is lifted up, then that would tell me you need more props on your knees. How does this feel?
Feels very good.
All right, so with every inhale, you're filling up the belly, and with every exhale, you're thinking about allowing yourself to twist, allowing the hips to go towards the camera and the shoulders to go towards me. And you're going to feel this wonderful elongation along the side body. And again, these poses are so gentle, and you can stay here for a minute, up to 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Just be sure to be even on both sides. And when you're ready to come out, you're simply going to take a deep breath and perhaps use your right arm to lift the knees back up to center. Yeah. You can take your blanket, and then the feet can go flat. And have the feet about hip width apart. And then allow the knees to go back and forth in sort of a windshield wipers. It just kind of feels good on the low back in between. Good. And then heading to the other side, you'll bring both knees into the chest one at a time. Get out of your way. And then allow the knees to fall over gently to the left side as your right arm extends out straight. Good, palm up. And a couple of different things depending on the person. This arm right now it's out straight, but you could experiment with being able to put it up a little higher at 45 degrees, or if it feels better, slightly lower at about 45 degrees. That's okay. Listening to your own body is key. And again, this shoulder is touching. That's very good. I see a need for a prop. We'll use a block this time. How's this feel?
Good.
Again, taking full breaths. You might feel more constricted in the belly area because you are in a twist, and that's okay. Essentially, you're learning how to breathe into other areas. Even though physically you're still sending breath into the lungs, you are sending energy and spaciousness to the areas that are constricted. Again, hopefully you stay here about the same time as you did on the other side. And then to come out, using your left hand to lift the knees. You can take your block. And this time, send the knees as wide as the mat. And then the feet as wide as the mat. And then the knees can come in to touch. And then you can just kind of hang out for just a moment. And relax. Good job.
So the next pose that we're going to try today is called the bridge pose. So tell us a little bit about that one.
So the bridge pose is done on the back, and it's a simple way to really begin to open up the hips and the front of the body. It feels wonderful. We spend so much time basically folded like we are now, seated, and so this is an opportunity to extend ourselves in the other direction. So you'll see. All right, so you're going to start off on your back, feet flat and knees bent. And you will need a prop of some kind. We're going to use a block, but if you have a nice firm pillow, that can also work as well. And we want your feet to be about hip width apart. That looks good. If you can bring them a little bit closer to your hips, that's great, perfect. And so first what I'd like you to do is take a deep breath in and exhale. And now take a deep breath in and raise your hips off the ground. And almost like you're raising from the tailbone all the way up to your shoulders, your vertebrae. And then exhale and roll everything back down, starting with the shoulder vertebrae all the way down to the tailbone. There you go. So do that again with breath. So inhaling and raising the hips, and the chest all the way, and exhaling all the way down. This doesn't have to be your biggest stretch of the day or the most powerful. We're just sort of getting things juiced. Last time. Breathing in, raising the hips, and exhaling all the way down. And so this time, you're going to take this block, which I'm going to hand to you, Ray, so that they can see how we add this in. And as you press down through the heels and lift your hips off the floor, you're going to slide this underneath your tailbone. And you want it so that it's really down towards the tailbone, so that it almost feels like you would fall off towards your shoulders, if I'm explaining that correctly. It looks perfect. It looks perfect. So allow your body to just settle in here by taking a couple breaths. This is a little different already. And this might be where you stay. But if you feel like experimenting, extend the right leg out so that the heel is just resting on the ground. And if that feels good, then extend the left leg out. And now you're just going to hang out. The front of your body is now open. This can feel vulnerable, and it can also feel free. Because like I said earlier, we spend so much time folded in a seated position generally. And so now we are unfolding ourselves and allowing all of this extension of the psoas, extension through the hips. There's a slight constriction on the low back. And so keep breathing. Sensation, as I've mentioned before, should be about a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. So there should not be pain. But there may be a little bit of, your hips or low back kind of talking to you. And I would encourage you to stay here as long as you can. Start with a minute, and maybe you can get up to about 3 minutes. That would be really great. And then when you're ready to come out, you'll bring one foot up flat to the floor, and then the other one. Maybe pause for a second to gather your wits. You don't have to be in a hurry. It's actually better if you kind of slow things down. And then when you're ready, you press down through the heels and lift the hips up to remove the block. And then slowly lower the hips back down to the floor. And the feet can be a little bit wide while the knees fall in. That feels good, and just kind of pause. Another nice movement is to do windshield wipers back and forth. That feels good.
So I hope you enjoyed our demonstration today of some of the poses that Lancy does in our office for our Yin Yoga class on Sundays. You can find more information about that by going to our website, The classes are $15, and we allow for drop-ins. You can get a package of 4 classes. You can just go to the website and check some of that stuff out. But we hope you'll join us on Sundays. Thank you.